Okay, well, I skipped over all the crap that nobody wants to see. I got the air cleaner assemblies I'll put back together. Fuel's primed up all the way to here. Top the oil off. What else did I get done? I think that was all I had to do. Hook the batteries back up, so she's ready to start. I was moving some linkages around, found some stuff that was rubbing, so I got all that taken care of. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to talk about. If anybody that would watch the first video, when I pulled the long shaft out for the PTO, I had oil coming out the upper power takeoff hole, and I thought that meant the rear end was over full. And when I'd got this thing out of the barn initially, so we can get the tires on it and get ready to start working on it, it was like 1.5 gallons low on hydraulic oil. So I figured, oh crap, that meant either I got a crack in the oil pan or a seal out in the hydraulic pump or whatever, and it was transferring oil from the hydraulics into the rear end. Well, when I went to, or before I went to put the PTO shaft back in, I went through and checked everything on that, and it was actually like 1.5 gallons low on 80/90, and the hydraulic oil reservoir is still clear full where I left it when I topped it off to start working on it. So I guess I don't know where the 1.5 gallons of hydraulic oil went. It doesn't leak anything, but it's not in the rear end, so it had to have disappeared somewhere not here. So that was good, because I really didn't want to have to worry about tearing the hydraulics apart on this thing. But I got all the injector lines are just hand tight so that we can bleed fuel to those. And yeah, I think that's where we're at. Obviously, I did not, it sat for 2 days with just coolant in it, and I never saw any or didn't lose any coolant anywhere, never had any in the oil pan. So here's hoping. I guess we'll find out when it builds pressure. Obviously we're just going to crank it till we start getting fuel at the injector lines, and then we'll start tightening those up, and then it should take off. So anything?
Nothing.
It's got to be getting fuel because it's huffing white smoke. Maybe hand tight's a little too tight. Yeah, number 3 is a little stiff, or number 4, whichever one that is. It's huffing smoke. I say just tighten the lines up and see if it'll go.
You got something going on here. Crank it again. You got a leaker right here. Spitting oil on that washer right there.
Oh. Come on. it'd just be nice if I'd pick up the other cylinders. Well, we got a problem. I don't know how bad it is. Well, shouldn't say I don't know how bad it is. It's a stupid problem. But I don't know if it means I got a crack in the pump or if I got other problems going on. But here's what we got. And I don't know if I just had the side cover off the pump because I cracked it to double check the timing since I ran it. Everything's still good, but yeah. That's the reason it won't pick up number one. I think that damn fitting is leaking so bad that it can't pressurize the injector. And I've been screwing with it for the last probably better part of 3 hours. I've tried flipping the banjo fitting over. That didn't do anything. I tried flipping the washers front to back. That didn't do anything. I've tried putting both washers in both positions both ways. That doesn't do anything. I've tried facing the washers on a stone. That didn't do anything. I even tried, I had this calf pump that I got off that Massey combine. I took a couple washers off of it because calf washers are supposed to be softer. But that being said, there's a caveat. Calf had hard washers and soft washers, and I don't know which style that pump had. Sorry about that. Granddad walked in. So anyway, I don't know if that pump's got the hard washers or the soft washers. The soft washers are a, hold on here. They are a CAV part number 5936332C. And I've gotten them before because when we first got this tractor, actually this tractor and the 1800 both had problems with those banjo fittings leaking. And I think on this one, I can't remember if it was this one, or if this one had more than one, but this one might have had more than one. But I got those fittings because the Stanadine washers that they use are case hardened. They're harder than hell, which doesn't make any sense to me for a sealing washer, but whatever. And unless it is a brand new pump, never been assembled before, all the faces are perfectly flat. From what I've been told by multiple older pump guys, they don't work worth a shit on an overhauled pump. So I got the part number for those calf washers, which dimensionally are, I mean, you look at them, you can't tell. They're identical. But they are softer so that when you torque the bolts down, they have a little bit of give and they can form to any sort of variation in surface. And we put those on there, and I put those on this, and I got it some on the 1800, and it took care of our pump leak. So I don't know if I need to get a different set of washers for it that are softer, that I know for a fact are softer. And those could be the soft washers, but since they're used, they came off of a different pump. They could just be so deformed that they just won't seal up on this. But anyhow, so I don't know if I need to get those washers or if the pump head is cracked. I have a hard time believing that because I gotta believe if it was cracked, it would be more than one fitting. Or my other thought was I can go to the hardware store and they have brass flat washers and get a couple 3/8 flat, or get a couple brass 3/8 flat washers and machine them down to fit in the recess here where they need to go, and try those and see if those take care of it. But right now I'm a little frustrated because, you know, I just put $1,100 into that pump to have it overhauled. You'd thought they'd have caught this on the test bench, but that being said, I don't know if when they have it on the test bench, if they have the banjo fittings on there, or if they get adapters just go right into the hydraulic head. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. At least it runs. It does carry good oil pressure. So far, I haven't seen any leaks, but it probably only has 3 minutes of runtime on it. But I don't know. So far so good on the running. Not so far so good on this damn pump. So if I gotta take this thing back off and take it back down to the pump shop, I am gonna be livid. But we're gonna try a couple things first. It might not happen until tomorrow, but we're gonna try some stuff and see what we can make happen. Okay, so I think we got all of our problems sorted out. I hope. So we got this leak fixed. At least it should still be fixed. I made one more change this morning. So the washers were the problem. Them hard ass Stanadine washers that I don't even know why they call them sealing washers, because they don't crush to seal. They're just like, these are, like I showed you, they're hardened steel washers. They don't crush. They don't really do anything. So unless that pump is brand new and all the surfaces are fresh machine and everything's nice and flat and they're clean and there's no dirt or a speck of dust or a piece of hair or anything stupid, they don't work. So Dad had these are 10mm bolts for a hydraulic banjo fitting, and we put those on there, and those took care of the problem. And as you can see, you should be, you can't really see. These actually crushed and conformed to all the deformities in the face of the hydraulic head. And those sealed up and took care of it. So Dad last night found some of these. These are, did you throw that box away? Oh, right there. These are Dorman 66272s. They are a banjo bolt for a GM brake caliper. And they are a tick oversized, so I had to throw them on a bolt for a mandrel and turn a little bit off to make them fit in the counterbore on the head, but they are still larger OD than those guys, so they have more surface area to bear against to seal up. So, but I haven't started the tractor yet, so we'll see. They're better than those yet, so they should seal up and work okay. But if you're gonna go changing washers and doing stuff that's not factory on this, the one thing you got to be aware of is the thickness on these washers is critical, as far as they can't be any thinner than those Stanadine ones, because turn the furnace off here. If they are too thin and you bottom this bolt out, you can lock up the hydraulic head and break all sorts of fancy stuff in the pump, and you don't want to be doing that. So they have to be at least as thick as the factory washers, and these are actually a tad bit thicker, so we got plenty of crush. But anyway, we tried out those washers yesterday, got the leak taken care of, and that took care of most of the miss, but it still had one. It was a lot slighter. It ran a lot smoother after we got that guy firing. So I grabbed a wrench and started breaking injector lines loose to find the miss, because when you're looking for a miss on a diesel, it's just like looking for a miss on a, like if you're looking for a miss on a gas engine, you start pulling spark plug wires, and whichever one does not change the tone of the engine, that's the one that's missing. Well, it's the same deal on a diesel. You start cracking injector lines to bleed off pressure, and whichever one does not change the tone of the engine, that's the one that's missing. And I was cracking number one loose, and the wrench slipped, and my hand got in a fight with the fan blade, but we don't need to talk about that. And number 4 and number 2, were not firing. So I went down and looked at the 1955, and it turns out I had 2 and 4 reversed on the pump. And I should have caught it when I put it together, because I had 2 here and 4 here, and there ain't no engine that's gonna have, unless it's a 2-cylinder, there ain't no engine that's gonna have a 1, 2, 4 firing order. So I should have caught that when I put it together, but when I was putting these lines on, I was just holding them up, and they were all kind of falling naturally on the pump where it looked like they belonged. So, but these lines were so screwed up when I went to start putting them back together, it wasn't even funny. So anyway, this morning I got those reversed and put back where they belong, so should be good. So you're about to witness the first start since I did all that. Hopefully this time it goes a little smoother. I had enough lines cracked, it's probably have to re-bleed itself. Hey look, it's hitting on all 6. Funny how that works when you got all the lines going to the right place. Yeah, you bitch. Give me a minute. I've never seen a 310 carry that kind of oil pressure. That's none too shabby. Oh. I think they got that pump set a little hot. But I got the leak taken care of. That was simple. I put those I put the banjo washers back on that we had yesterday. Those hydraulic fitting ones, like I say, you could see in the face of them where they had like formed around all the little swirly gigs and whatnot in the face of the pump. And apparently these guys are harder because they didn't really do that. So these would probably work if you annealed them first. But number 6 weeping a little bit. Alright, I got the leak on number 6 taken care of. It must have had some shit inside where the injector line and the injector interface. I pulled it all the way off and blew everything out with air and stuck it back together, and it quit. So must have had a little speck of dirt in there or something. I mean, we got it running. We might as well take it for a drive. Make sure the 3-speed works. gonna try to follow me. Un momento, por favor. I told them to set that pump tight. I think they took me literal. Even warmed up, carried about 45 pounds of oil pressure. That's pretty damn good. I cannot believe how much quieter that motor is. Like, I didn't think it was too obnoxious as far as like knocking, rattling before, but this thing is so much smoother, it's not even funny. Okay, so after we got back from the drive, we had a small oil cooler leak, and it turns out that was my fault. So, fun fact, when I took this thing off, there was two bolts. This guy's one of them. Two bolts had copper crush washers on them instead of lock washers. and they were so covered in grease, I didn't notice it till I went to clean them up. And by that point, I didn't know what holes they came out of because it was 9 weeks later before we went to put the oil cooler back on. And actually, it doesn't tell you in the book. And if it does, I couldn't find it. Well, I put one here and the other one down right there. Can't really see it, but trust me, it's right there. Well, it turns out I should have put, because there's a long one and a short one, I should have put the short one here. Because when I put that oil cooler assembly on, I felt all over inside the block looking for through holes or anything where those might go, because obviously if those crush washers are on there, it's because they go through the oil. Well, I didn't feel anything, so I put them where I thought they went because of the way the gasket, or the way there's holes cut in the gasket. Well, it turns out I should have put the short one here, because after we found the leak, got to looking, that one's right in line with the main oil gallery, so I bet that hole pokes through into the oil gallery. So I took that bolt out, put some Permatex on the thread to put it back in. It took care of the leak, and I've had this thing sitting out here for probably at least 20 minutes running about 1200 RPM. On a fresh motor, you don't want to idle it, because you know the rings aren't seated yet. So I've had it sitting out here running about 1300 RPM for about 20 minutes, and no more leaky. Number one injector was still weeping. I mean, I couldn't even see it do it, but it was still leaking a little bit, but it must have quit because it quit. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but it was sealed up, and I bet when I took the washers off to try the new set this morning, it's probably where I screwed up. They'd have probably been fine if I'd have never touched them. So I bet you if it does weep a little bit, I could throw a new set of washers on there, because Dad's going to get more coming. And probably throw a new set of washers on there that haven't been crushed yet, and they should seal right up. So I'm going to see if I can find some degreaser around here, because now that the block is thoroughly covered in diesel fuel, let this thing cool off for a little bit so we're not quenching the block. And I'm going to degrease it, power wash it before I go to put the tin back on, and yeah, should be able to put all our clothes back on after that. So we'll catch you guys when I get ready to, well, I'll just get all the stuff put back on, and we'll come back at the end and we'll give all the closing remarks, I suppose. Well, there she be. Hopefully everything sticks. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully next Friday or Saturday, I gotta talk to my buddy who works up at the deer dealer, see if they can work me in on the dyno. Give it a run, see, get it broke in, and then see where we're at for horsepower, just because I'm kind of curious where they set that pump. I told them 10% over. She smokes a fair bit. I know that pump's set hotter than 1955, because the 1955 don't smoke like that. And I tell you what, I am a firm believer now that I've just driving it up and down the road. I am a firm believer in that updated weight basket I had them putting this pump over, putting the flex ring back in it, because just driving down the road, going over, you know, bumps or whatnot, the governor is like on it. And the 1955's got a flex ring in the pump, because at that time I didn't know that there was an updated weight basket. And yeah, it does not. I mean, the governor in the 1955 is stout, but it ain't like that. So, but get it run on the dyno, and then I got a new field that I picked up for this year that I need to chisel plow. So, and it's bean stubble, so I could run my 3-point plow. So we'll probably run this down and do some chisel plowing just to pull it and see how it acts. It'd be nice to get some hours on it before we throw it on the planter, because that planter's heavy, but it really, I don't see it. I mean, they only for the 8-row 6180 like what I got, they recommend an 85 horsepower minimum. So I mean, it can't pull that hard if you can pull it with 85 horse. So it'd be nice to get some heat into the engine and start seating them rings before we put it on the planter, because I don't think that planter's gonna work this thing hard at all. So yeah, Obviously, you notice I didn't put the stack back on it because I want to be able to bring it in and out of the shop to put when I'm working on putting the monitor on it, and I don't want to have to jack around taking the stack on it off, so I'm just leave it off for now. I almost thought about using this thing to spread fertilizer on the wheat, but I really don't want to do any light work with it. And well, I guess, I don't know. We'll see how it does. Running it on the dyno really should set them rings pretty decent, because an hour or so on a dyno is pretty, I mean, you can do a lot on a dyno. An hour on a dyno is probably close to 4 or 5 hours pulling a moldboard plow, because just the way you can set it and forget it. But yeah, and just the way this thing, like, it's hard to describe how much quieter this engine is. Like the bottom, there's no knocks in the bottom end. I mean, you obviously got your diesel rattle from the injectors, but I mean, this thing is so smooth now. It's crazy. Like I cannot begin to describe how crazy smooth this engine is now. 3-speed acts good. It shifts good and hard. I mean, definitely everything we did here was money well spent. So, and anybody that's going to overhaul one of these things and they don't spend the money to have the rotating assembly balanced is a fool. That right there, aside from milling the block in the head to get everything squared up, balancing the rotating assembly is the best money you can spend, whether it be a 283, even though they didn't have the issues of grenading themselves like the 310s did. The 283, a 310, 265, whatever you're working on, have the rotating assembly balanced. It's crazy how much smoother that makes these engines. It's stupid crazy how much smoother it makes those just doing that. And having a rotating assembly balanced ain't that expensive. And if you're going to do it right, you're going to have the crank getting machined anyway. You're going to have the rods checked and have the board, or have the big end resized and everything. It's just, get it balanced. It ain't that much more expensive. And it's worth the money. So as long as everything stays good on the motor, the only things I have left to do on it, which will be next winter's project, is the Oturbski. That needs to come off and get redone. I didn't have it done this go around because we already had enough parts flying out in limbo, and I didn't want to add one more iron in the fire, so I need to do that. And then I want to pull the hydraulic unit off, go through the hydraulics, because that needs done. And when I do that, we'll drain the rear end, put rock shaft seals, or not rock shaft, load shaft seals in it. Obviously the rock shaft seals are going to get done because we're going to have the hydraulic unit off. What else? Oh, I've got a I don't got it put on yet because I'm just about done for the day, but I got a new seat cushion, or cushion back, and I got another thing. I waited till the last minute just to annoy Mom, but she wanted stuff for Christmas, so I told her I wanted a new seat for this thing. And apparently, because high capacity makes the best seats for these, hands down, but you can get this seat set, which is the bottom, or the cushion and the backrest, or you can get the deluxe, which is the cushion, the backrest, and then an upper backrest with another bracket that, you know, makes the seat a little taller. And the deluxe kit is like $50 cheaper for some reason than just the bottom cushion and the backrest. So I got a deluxe seat kit to put on it. That's down in the barn. We'll get that on there this week and start mounting the monitor. I don't think I'm going to work on it tomorrow because tomorrow's supposed to be really nice outside, and I need to get the stones raked out of the yard and everything before we got a bunch of rain coming this week, so I need to get that done before the rain pounds them into the ground and makes it hard. So I need to rake stones and pick up sticks and just get some stuff done around the house. So I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow while it's nice out. It's supposed to be 72. The last thing you want to do after sitting inside all winter when you got a 72-degree day is sit inside and work in the shop again. So, and I don't want anybody that I'm not trying to mislead anybody that I think the pump shop screwed me on this injection pump. They did a great job. I mean, that thing is snappy. They did a good job on the pump. I don't think that they would have caught that leak, because I would be willing to, I mean, I could be wrong, I'd have to see their setup, but I would be willing to bet that they do not run these banjo adapters on the test stand. They probably have some sort of standard adapter set that goes into the rotor, or that goes into the hydraulic head. That way they don't have to have umpteen bazillion different adapters to adapt their test stand to the pump. So they probably didn't even test the pump with these banjo fittings. They probably just put them back, or put them on there after the pump was tested. So they probably never would have caught that leak, because they probably did not run the pump with that banjo fitting on there. So, it is what it is. We got it taken care of. Like I say, Dad's getting more washers. So I'm probably gonna, you can change 5 of them, but you can't get number 6 off, because it goes towards the block and there's not enough room to get the bolt out. So that's the only one that you can't change without pulling the pump. But I'll probably do all of them. But like I say, when we got the tractor, number 1 injector, that was the one that always leaked, and then I changed it to those cab washers, and that took care of it. And apparently when they cleaned the pump up, they must have removed a little bit more of whatever shit was helping it seal up, and now we needed them copper washers. And the cab washers may very well have sealed it up too. We just didn't have any. We had these on hand, so I used them, but they work, so we're gonna stick with it. But anyway, there she is, back to her former glory. She just needs her bling back, but the stack will go back on when I'm done pulling it out. So once the monitors are on, I mean, it's got fresh oil in it, we'll just I'm gonna let it sit overnight, and well, Tuesday when I come back over here to work on it, I'll check the engine oil again, check the 3-speed, check the hydraulic oil, top everything off, because we obviously filled up the hydraulic lines. We changed, the 3-speed actually, well, no, 3-speed will be down because it had to refill the oil cooler. And then I checked the engine oil this morning before I started working on it. It was a tad over full, which is where I want it. So I mean, technically it's freshly serviced. She's ready to go to the field once I get the monitor mount done. So, and hopefully I can get the monitor mount done this week. I'd really like to see, because I think the weather's supposed to be decent Friday afternoon. I'd really like to see if I can get this up to the green mark Friday afternoon after work and give her a dyno run. And then hopefully next Saturday, if the weather's decent, we can hook around to the planter for the first time and get that damn planter unfolded and start making a list of crap we got to do. Because it ain't going to be that long. I mean, we're going to be thinking about planting, because I got to get, now that the wheat woke up, I got to get over to this field back here behind Mom and Dad's looks really good. I got to get over to the other field I planted and see how that looks, so we can figure out if it's worth spreading fertilizer on. I got to get fertilizer spread on the wheat. We got to go down there, finish cleaning that field up, get them piles burnt, which that field's going into beans, so it's not a super duper high priority if we get that done before we start planting, because if I got to plant that field end of May, beginning of June, so be it. Getting everything else planted is going to be priority, so we'll work on that if we can. We got the barn situation is supposed to be straightening itself out next month, so we got that. It's going to be a busy couple months here, but the new job is working out good, and I've already had more time than I know what to do with. So oh, and Thursday I'm going to an auction, so you'll be getting video of that. I'm not going to buy anything necessarily, but it's just north of town here. When auctions are that close, it's a community event. You just go to be there and shoot the shit and show support. So we'll have that coming up. So you got an auction video coming up this week. You'll have monitor videos coming up this week, getting that project taken care of. And a dyno video hopefully next weekend, and working on a planner. So that's what we got coming up. So anyway, with that being said, I guess that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.